One thing I think is very important that we need to define right from the beginning is the origin of cybersecurity. Cybersecurity is actually an offshoot of Homeland Security. And in Homeland Security, we are all talking about security through obscurity. So there's a lot of FUD, fear, uncertainty, doubt. I'm certainly not for that. And we all see the after effect of the Snowden incident. So the whole world is not in support of FUD. At the end of the day, this will only give rise to more doubts among ourselves, the industry, and this does not really benefit the industry going forward. So as a whole, the whole industry is moving towards accountability and transparency. Well, we are talking about having the kind of visibility and control that is translated from the state players, the enterprise players, to the end user, the common end user like you and me. Today, that represents a big issue because we have been struggling with that for the past 10 years, how to arrive at that. Because the state and enterprise, they refuse to release control. While the enterprise, in fact, is having some internal issues with the state itself in terms of what information should be released, what should not be. But more importantly, the end user doesn't have control over their own data. So in the past decade, we are looking at the CIIP, the issues of cybersecurity, as well as the conflict interest between CIIP and cybersecurity. And often not, there's a lot of misunderstanding between CIIP and cybersecurity because CIIP, which stands for Critical Information Infrastructure Protection, is actually more related to Homeland Security, while on the other hand, cybersecurity is about the protection of your cyber assets in the cyberspace, which is getting bigger and bigger by the day, by the minute, as more and more avatar as well as assets are translated into real value in the cyberspace. Talk about Bitcoin. So back in 2008, at the last financial crisis, that is the turning point where IT finally come together in a big bang, where they are able to bring all the different players together into a common concept that everyone chose to accept, which is called cloud computing. Cloud computing gives rise to the compute as a utility concept, which makes IT as important, or should I say, put it this way, a basic utility, just like the electricity and the water. So no longer we need to talk about and justify for our own existence, like technology as an enabler, as a business enabler, or security as a business enabler, because it is a basic essential in doing business. Cloud computing is not a technology, but a business model. It's a way of doing business. And that caught on back in the financial crisis, where one of the basic tenets of cloud computing, which is scalability and on demand, which totally fit with the requirement at that point in time, the OPEX model. Another key tenet, which is the availability issues of cloud computing, is that you can actually access and use cloud services any place, any time. So it's as good as on-premises IT systems. There's also economy of scale, where you are able to get very cheap computing power, very cheap storage. You are seeing companies today give out storage space of 1 terabyte for free, even to the end user. So all these are things that the CFO like to hear, and all these are what are the game changer back during the financial crisis. And this actually helped to promote the situation right now, what we call as cloud computing, data analytics, social media, and mobility, as it comes together, building that pervasiveness that will define the IT trends for IT for the next 10 to 20 years. But as I said, one of my close associates from NIST, the National Institute for Standardization and Technology of the USA, Tim Grant, he actually called cloud computing, social media, data analytics, as well as mobility as the 4 horsemen of apocalypse. So that's a reason for him to do that, because on one hand, we herald it as a boon for our industry, where everybody comes together and technology for once is a enabler, business enabler, without us having to justify for our existence. But on the other hand, it also gives us a lot of potential issues moving forward, and that's why the US government kind of call it the four horsemen apocalypse. And that's give rise to an organization like the Cloud Security Alliance, where we are a collection of stakeholders for building a globally trusted ecosystems. So we comes together as a consortium, bringing together all the stakeholders, the governments, the enterprise end users, the technology providers, the cloud service provider, to define the best practices, the framework, as well as some of the architecture that can be used by companies worldwide to harness the cloud, to allow for quick adoption of cloud computing towards fulfilling our business requirement. So that is something that CSA has been doing since 2009. And some of the key results that we have saw are the provider certification that we gave to cloud service provider that is right now the only such certification worldwide to be given to large enterprises of the world. You're looking at some of the largest telcos and consulting firms, even end user firms, banking and financial centers certifying themselves to this certification. We also saw some of work accumulates into a basic definition of a body of knowledge that any cloud security professionals should be training. And we have the user certification that we call CCSK that allows anyone to be trained if they want to enter the market. So I should conclude by coming back to what we think is getting ourselves mainstream. Cloud security itself definitely is into the mainstream, which is a far cry from what we are seeing 10 years ago. But we have to keep in mind, again, remember fact, that is something that will not work if we want to continue to engage the board. Because one thing that any senior executive or any Fortune 500 companies would not want is to be surprised, to be scared, to be held at ransom. On the other hand, what they really want to be is in a position to make good decisions with the right data, to be in full control.